Welcome to episode 1 of the Mulligan Moneyline's podcast. I'm joined by two very special guests. To my left, we've got Ben Garcia, and to my right, we've got Drew Eagle. So we're going to talk about some of the big moments from Week 7 of college football and talk about some of our big thoughts from Week 8. Starting right off, I think one of the biggest games we had last week was number 7 Indiana versus number 3 Oregon. Fernando Mendoza truly putting himself in the Heisman contention with big wins now over Oregon and a number 9 ranked Illinois at the time. Very high-powered offense, very, very dynamic, very fun to watch. So, guys, let me know what you think about them.
Yeah, no, I think that Oregon sort of proved that they were another, just another Pac-12 team that can't win a big game. Even though they've moved to the Big Ten, it's the same story. They're slightly better than most people, most teams, but they're not better than the better teams.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Kurt Cignetti with that Indiana offense rolling on all cylinders. Fernando Mendoza, got to see what he did at Cal the past couple of years and how he beat Auburn a couple of years ago with the Cal team. So it's not really a big surprise to me. Fernando Mendoza has been a solid player his whole career. And Oregon looking lackluster at home, breaking that 18-game home winning streak.
Yeah.
Definitely excited to see what they can do in Week 8. Next up, we've got the Red River rivalry. Mateer looking very shaky, only 17 days after that surgery. Threw 3 picks, 0 touchdowns, and definitely could have been more than 3 picks. There were some very dangerous situations he was thrown into. Arch Manning looking very composed, able to use his legs a lot. He had, a 50-yard rush at one point. Great tight end play. His wide receivers were going. Their rushing game was awesome. It's really the true Texas that I think we all kind of expected to see starting at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think John Mateer really made it easy on Arch Manning. I think that he took the pressure off him by, having such a lackluster performance. Oklahoma never seemed to get a hold of that game at all. Even at any point, it never felt like they were in control. Texas they dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. An all-around performance, exactly what you said. The Texas that, a lot of folks thought that they were going to see at the beginning of the season showed out here in the Red River rivalry.
Definitely.
Oklahoma has been looking rather lackluster this entire season. They don't have a lot of marquee wins. I mean, the win over Auburn was controversial at best. They just kind of gotten called out here in the Red River rivalry, as we say, because that's what it was. It was not a big rivalry game from either offense, and really speaking, because 23 points from a Texas offense, they were firing off better than they were, but 23 points when they had the ball like that, got to do better.
That is a good point. Then we got Alabama, Missouri. Ty Simpson continuing to have some big dominant wins over really strong other programs. Mizzou is definitely not somebody to sleep on. But in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, Bo Pribula looking shaky, inaccurate, missing a lot of big throws that really could have sent that game into overtime. Ty Simpson continuing to look composed, being a great facilitator with the ball. And honestly, I think that Alabama is still definitely a team to watch this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Missouri Missouri, that was a game of missed opportunities for Missouri. They were in it the whole time. They never got themselves out of the game until right at the end. But I think the bigger story is Ty Simpson. I think that he has shown that he is probably going to be the best quarterback in the SEC next year, if he's not this year. I've since the Georgia game, I didn't really think that he was going to be, the best quarterback. Going into that game, I thought he was, a bottom tier quarterback in the SEC, but now I think he's probably the best we've got right now.
He's definitely shown the most growth in the conference, if not in the country. I mean, compared to that Week 1 loss to Florida State, they've turned it around. Florida State lost 3 in a row now. So to see that turnaround from Ty Simpson against what I believe to be underrated Missouri team.
Highly underrated.
Definitely. Then we've got one of the more controversial games of the week. Georgia heading into Jordan-Hare Stadium. Was it a fumble? Was it a Georgia touchdown? Was it an Auburn touchdown? What do you guys think?
Everybody knows what I think, but I want to hear Drew's opinion on this one.
To be honest with you, it could go either way. That I understand why it went to fumble. I also could see it being a touchdown. I thought it was probably a touchdown. All the people calling the game thought it was a touchdown. The rules analysts thought it was a touchdown. But at the end of the day, they ruled it a fumble. They upheld the call because now it used to be confirmed, stands, or overturned, and now it's just upheld or overturned. So they weren't going to overturn that. I don't think they overturned it either way. But they called it wrong still because Georgia scored a touchdown on that play. Because I don't remember the whistle. I don't remember hearing the whistle blow that play dead.
At no point. That should have been a Georgia touchdown. But Kirby's second half ability coming through again, leading to a 10-point win over the Tigers, even after being down 10-0 in the first half. Very happy to see that out of my Dogs. Next up, we got the Penn State crisis. Drew Aller being out for the season. James Franklin fired. The Week 1 preseason number 2 now being unranked after 3 straight losses to Oregon, a 0-win UCLA, and now Northwestern. It is looking rough for Penn State fans.
Yeah, I Penn State, a product of the Big Ten. Overrated teams right now. It seems to be a cycle for the Big Ten to have teams ranked that play each other that are other ranked Big Ten teams, but nobody seems to really have a separation in talent level in that conference. It seems like the bottom tier teams are just as good as the top tier teams because a lot of the teams we thought were at the top are not good teams. Penn State is I think that they are a bad football team. Hate to see James Franklin fired, but he hasn't really done anything in his career at Penn State. How many top 5 teams has he beaten since he became head coach? And I think the answer is 0.
Yep. His record is like 1-15 against top 5 opponents, something like that. Penn State just got called out over the past 3 weeks. I never thought they looked solid, even when they were ranked number 2. That's just all going off of last season and had nothing to do with this season. And then giving UCLA their first win with that disaster of a program that's now turning themselves around with the interim head coach after they fired their head coach. So good for UCLA getting back up there. But still, that was a winless UCLA. A not good Northwestern team, even for their standards. They've never been a too crazy of a team. This year is just not their year. No. And then to lose 3 in a row, it's sad for James Franklin because his record was like 34-8 against ranked teams or something like that. So he has one of the best records. Any other coach with that record, most other schools would be fine with that. But Penn State's been dealing with that for like 10, 15 years now, and they're just tired of losing those 2 to 3 games every year and just forcing themselves out of playoff contention.
Yep. Yet again, Ohio State gets pretty much a free walk into the college football playoff. And now for Week 8, we have some absolutely loaded games. Starting off with number 10 LSU versus number 17 Vanderbilt. Pavia coming off a bye week after a close game with Bama. He still looked great. I expect Pavia to come out there and show that LSU defense who's boss.
Yeah, I think that this game's a complete toss-up. I think that Vandy could come in and really, really dominate on both sides of the line of scrimmage. But also, we saw Vandy against Alabama. They can also come in and get dominated by bigger schools. So I think that, I'm going to stay away from the money lines and the spreads on this one. And I think my pick for this game is going to be the over 48.5.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Ben. I think that Diego Pavia and that offense from Vandy is going to be firing on all cylinders. I do believe this is going to be a defensive show, though. The defense that plays better is going to decide this game. But I do think that Diego Pavia has a better ability to pick apart defenses than Garrett Nussmeier, although he's been playing solid these past couple of weeks. But I do think Vandy sitting at -1.5 is not a bad bet.
I do agree there. I'm also taking Vandy -1.5. I have not been particularly impressed with what LSU has done this season, not with their Heisman odds coming in for Garrett. Honestly, unimpressive performance against South Carolina, who's also been shaky. I'm riding with the Commodores -1.5. Coming up next, we've got number 14 Oklahoma going into South Carolina. Oklahoma, as we discussed earlier, has had some ongoing quarterback struggles. They looked bad against the Texas offense that have been nothing short of underwhelming, frankly. Oklahoma Moneyline is currently set at -200, and you can get South Carolina Moneyline at +170. Spread set at South Carolina +5. I like South Carolina +5 in this game.
Yeah, I'll say at the beginning of this season, I don't think any of us thought that we'd be having a conversation of whether, South Carolina would not be favored at home versus Oklahoma with Lenore Sellers as their quarterback. But, Lenore Sellers has had a really, really rocky start to the season, not performing at all to the expectations that the media had set for him. I think that Oklahoma goes to South Carolina, bounces back from their loss against Texas. I've taken Oklahoma -4.5.
I think both of these offenses are going to come out striking. I think it's going to be a shootout type of game here at Oklahoma, South Carolina. South Carolina has been super explosive early in the season. They came back and beat Virginia Tech earlier in the season. They blew them out like 38-10. So I think both of these offenses are going to fire off pretty good. I think whoever holds the football last is going to win this game.
I think that could be. Next up, we've got a top 10 matchup between Ole Miss heading into Sanford Stadium and fighting my Georgia Bulldogs. Spread is currently set at +7.5 for Ole Miss. And as much as I love Kirby and my dogs, UGA has had struggles covering the spread. I like Ole Miss +7.5. They've had a very high-powered offense, so we're just going to have to see how they can hold up against that Georgia defense.
I think the Georgia defense has shown that they're going to give up some points. They're going to give up points early in games. They're going to lock in, and they're going to perform a lot better in the second half. With that being said, also taking into account Georgia's struggles against the spread, I'm taking the over at 57.5 in this game. I think that Gunnar Stockton and the Georgia offense is going to score well into the 30s or maybe the 40s, and I am counting on Lane Kiffin to put up at least 28 against the Dogs.
Yeah, it's hard to like Ole Miss right now after that rough game at Washington State last week. I had 21-14 or something like that.
Yeah.
Not a good showing from them, but I do think they'll bounce back, and I do think they'll give Georgia a run for their money, as you both said. Kirby can't cover a spread, so we'll see how that goes for him. But I kind of like the team total over for Georgia. Do you have that up for me?
Team total?
I do believe it was like 28 or something.
That sounds right.
28.5, yeah.
So I'd take a team total over there. If you were going to touch this game at all, I wouldn't touch this game.
I'm a little scared of it for sure. Next up, we got number 6 Bama facing Joey Aguilar and the number 11 ranked Tennessee. Tennessee money line currently set at +260. I don't quite like that. I think that Ty Simpson has looked a little too prepared.
They're in Tuscaloosa for this matchup. I will say it at Alabama, the way that Ty Simpson has been playing, I will count on Alabama to cover at -8.5. I don't think Tennessee's offense travels well to Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, as we've seen, the Georgia game was a shootout with them, but of course Georgia's defense was playing a little rough that game. Alabama has been firing on all cylinders ever since their Week 1 loss. I think Alabama comes in and wins. I don't know if they cover that spread at 8.5. That seems a little too generous towards Tennessee's side to me, because I do think they can still score. They can put points on the board, but going to Alabama is going to be tough.
Absolutely, always is. Next up, we got number 20 ranked University of Southern California versus number 13 Notre Dame. Notre Dame yet again finding a way to limp into the college football playoff, playing bottom tier, top 25 teams. No change this week. USC has not been particularly impressive this season. Their most statement win being over a now unranked Michigan team. I am absolutely hammering the Fighting Irish at -9.5. I just don't think that USC's got the firepower to hold up against Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like every year the media sets it up to put Notre Dame right back in the college football playoff. USC, there's really no reason for them to be a ranked team right now. They haven't beaten a ranked opponent that's still ranked today, and they have losses to unranked opponents, to an unranked opponent. I'm going to definitely hammer Notre Dame -9.5 here. I think that the Irish blow out USC at home.
Notre Dame's at home, yeah. USC, they always manage to get to the top 25 at some point, and then they go right back away. It's kind of like Air Force and Army. They like to scrape at the bottom of the barrel. But unfortunately for those teams, they just get knocked off late in the season. But, USC should be unranked after this matchup. I think they get blown out at home or away at Notre Dame.
Definitely. Well, Thank you for listening to episode 1 of the Mulligan Moneyline podcast hosted by Wasaga Sports Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.